Alex Bean with KSI Press with Askar Askar, who returns to action February 17th at LFA 153. Askar, how are you?
I'm great. How are you, bro?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm happy to be talking with you again.
My brother.
About 20 days out. How you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. Feeling like I'm in the freaking thick of this bullshit diet. Fucking bullshit that I hate it so much, bro. I hate it. I was talking to my little brother the other day. I was like, bro, I'm like, listen, if they gave me like 50,000 for these weight cuts, that'd be great. You know what I mean? Not these fucking bullshit checks, but we're out here right now. We're out here. We're grinding. We're pushing forward. We're getting this money. You know, it's a lot easier to watch these guys in the UFC at the gym cut weight for fights because I know they fucking know what's at the end of that prize. You know, a nice highlight reel and a nice fat check. Like, fuck. You know what I
Boom,
mean?
boom,
Yeah,
boom.
it's cool. But I mean, you know, it's camp. Camp's always tough, hard in terms of training. But honestly, it's like I could do this all day, every day. I'd wake up, do 10 training sessions a day if I had to. If you could tell me I could have about as much carbs as I want, you know, and protein and all that good stuff. But you know, you gotta have be in a certain weight class in this sport. So just that diet and that grind day in and day out. But I feel like people don't understand that being a calorie deficit and trying to train is fucking it's hard. It's hard.
I do. It's the I've heard it's the fucking toughest part of the entire ordeal.
Honestly, it's like, you know, it's like people don't understand how much energy we get from food. You know what I mean? Not just not like you know, because nowadays people overindulge or you know they are just you know, because I'm not alive. As soon as this fight's over, I'm smashing everything and anything. But it's just funny because it's like you lower the calories a little bit and your energy system just changes and you're like, bro, it's crazy. So, you know, but I feel like I'm at the point where I got to lock down, but it's just to prepare myself mentally for that fucking, you know, weekend and week out of just having to make my food, be on a diet, make sure I'm not eating nothing crazy, have to not smell this bullshit food that people are just eating and not get to enjoy it, you know?
Sounds like fucking bullshit to me, bro. It just sounds
I
like
hate it, bro.
that's
Stop cutting weight and let's fucking do it like boxers do it, bro. Let's cut like 3, 4 pounds each and just fucking get in there and do the damn thing, you know?
for sure, for
It's
sure.
a life we live.
All right. Well, before I talk about your fight, I wanted to go back to your win in November, man. How did it
Yes,
feel
sir.
to get back to your finishing ways? You finished Ricky. How'd that feel?
Yeah, it felt good. It felt good. You know what I mean? He was tough. You know, I got to touch him up. I felt like I got to showcase my style. I knew going into the fight stylistically it wasn't a good matchup for him. You know what I mean? And that's what it is nowadays. It's like fighters are tough, bro. And there's so many fighters in this world that are different styles, different attributes. So it's like it's hard to get everybody out of there. You know what I mean? And it's you're fighting a dude for the first time. It's not like we're training together and then we're getting in the cage. You know, so you're fighting him for the first time. So you're trying to figure him out. And I knew that his style matched up well with mine. So and I know like if he comes wrestling heavy, I love that shit. You know, that's one thing that I was thinking about with the Diego Silva fight. I was surprised even after I touched him with a few shots where he didn't shoot. He was like just standing tall and backing up. Where I felt like I still should have won that motherfucker. You know, because of that, because he was standing tall and backing up. But it was what it was. I'm just happy I'm coming off a win now off Ricky, and I got something in the pipelines for February.
Awesome. Um, I wanted to kind of get your grade on your entire 2022. What would you give yourself?
My grade in terms of fighting, man, I say in terms of fighting, I'll probably be like a B. You know, I'd say a B, if you know what I mean. Maybe a B minus, honestly, just because that fucking Diego Silva fight still got that nasty taste in my mouth. God damn it, Diego. But yeah, I mean, in terms of that, yeah. But as in terms of just like overall MMA and overall, this has been one of the best years of my like. I feel like my MMA career in terms of fighting, competing, being in there regularly, and then training and then seeing my teammates succeed and seeing everybody grow in the gym. You know, I love 2022. It was a good year of growth, mental, physical, emotional, everything, and just well, not just being successful in my own stuff, seeing my brother succeed. My brother got some wins. My roommate got some wins. My teammates at the gym gotten cracked into the top 10. Watching Chris Gutierrez knock out freaking Frankie Edgar live was insane. You know what I mean? So just all that overall was amazing. But in terms of fights, just because of that one fight with that fucking where I felt like I gave max effort, but I guess it wasn't enough. I just give myself a B because next time I'm not letting shit like that shit happen. See, I'm the kind of guy that's like I'd rather die on my sword. You know what I mean? So like letting like that shit happen where I let these three judges judge who wins. I hate that. It's like I'd rather go in there and show that I destroyed him and I got in his face and I beat him just like I did Ricky. Or you know what I mean? I dominated him where I didn't give him any space to show that he won. You know, but and then or him just killing me. You know what I mean? Or him just putting me to sleep. So it's like one or the other. I don't want no fucking bullshit sitting down, both of us standing there not sure. And then, you know what I mean, seeing him get his hand raised and his coach is all surprised. And I'm like, you motherfucker. You know what I mean? I was like, we're fighting 3 rounds in the back, honestly.
I mean, and it's like on top of that, because of that loss, it fucked up your win streak, right? So now you're won three of your last four, and now it's not as impressive as a 4 or 5 win streak, right? So now the UFC, now Bellator has that against you.
Yeah, yeah, that's the truth. That's the truth. That's what the game is. It's a what have you done for me lately? You know what I mean? And it's bullshit, and it makes me a little salty to think about it. But I'm using that motherfucking thing as fuel. You know, people always go, I'm sure this guy, there's motivation for you to fight when you're fighting this dude, or if you're fighting, you know what I mean? Because the kid I'm fighting next to him, karate combat, you know. And so a lot of people are like, oh, I bet that motivates you to freaking work harder and make sure your striking is good. It's like that. I'm like, listen, my number one motivation is those fucking sour taste in my mouth from those fights I've lost, where I'm like, I don't want to leave any stone unturned. I don't want to feel like I didn't give it my all. I don't want to feel like I didn't just push to the complete brim of exhaustion, you know. And I felt like I did that in Diego Silva fight, but maybe then I felt like that, but now looking back, I feel like maybe I should have pushed a little bit harder. You know what I mean? And it's everything in hindsight. You look back and you're like, I should have done this like this. I should have done that like this. But I'm gonna make this a learning lesson and just grow from it. You know, anytime I feel like I'm sitting down at home or I don't feel like going for a run or I don't feel like doing an extra workout, I think about that L and I go do double the amount of work that I need to do.
Mm. And then finally, before we talk about your fight, are you coming up like on 3 years at a Factory X now?
It's about to be 2 years.
2 years, 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
I mean, do you feel like you're part of the family? Like, how's that just being there?
I mean, yeah, I definitely feel like I'm a part of the family. I've always been a fighter that once I'm with a gym or a group of people that are training, I don't want to say I devote my life to it, but it's like I give everything I got. You know what I mean? Guys want me to be in corners. Guys need to cut weight. Guys need to. I've submerged myself into this life where it's like my brother, I have a family of fighters. You know what I mean? My brothers fight. We all compete. It's like we've been there since we were kids. All my friends. If you're my friend, you most likely you're either a fan of fighting or you're a fighter. You know what I mean? Like I don't have no friends that just don't know nothing about fighting. Like everybody around me is engulfed in this, and I feel like I felt very well with the Factory X. The culture there was amazing when I first got there, and I just love everybody there. You know, all the guys are amazing, high level athletes, high level individuals, and Coach Mark is just a leader that leads from the front, and he's one of those guys that just makes you a better human being, and making you a better human being makes you like 10 times better as a fighter. You know what I mean? Because you got your schedule, you got your life online, you're sleeping right, you're eating right, you're focused on your mental, and that's gonna show in the cage, and that's what I feel like Factor X has. It has a lot of those individuals, and I love surrounding myself with them, especially the guys at my weight class like Chris Gutierrez, Jonathan Martinez, and Yusuf Zalal. Those are my boys. You know what I mean? Our little quad right there. Those guys are just my ride or dies in terms of training and teammates.
Speaking of Factory X, who were some of your main training partners this camp, and also how is it eating leg kicks from Chris Gutierrez and fucking Jonathan Martinez?
Bro, listen, the first fucking 2 months I was there, bro, it was hell. Dude, it was every session was icing your fucking. I was like, what is this? I'm like, is this magic? I'm like, dude, this is honestly, it was one of the worst things ever. But it's crazy because after a while, you start taking them, you know what I mean? And then you're like, damn, like you're like, okay, I can take it now. I can start taking, and it gives me confidence because I'm like, those two are the best kickers in that division. I want to see somebody come kick me in a fight, So like I'm very confident. I'm very confident in my defense in terms of kicks after training with those dudes, and in terms of elbows and knees when I'm training with a guy like Yusuf Zalal. So and spinning and all that stuff. So I feel like they've conditioned me, and it's like Coach Mark says, the best way to condition yourself is, a lot of guys go, I'm gonna kick, like Tony was doing that crazy shit where he was kicking poles back in the day, and guys could do that. You can go do that. You can do that all day, kick a pole. But at the end of the day, at the edge of your mind, you're always gonna pull back a little bit because you're like, I don't want to hurt myself. I don't want to break my shin, And when you're sparring Jonathan, he doesn't give a fuck. This guy will walk home crippling if we're both on crutches after. You know what I mean? He'll be like, hey, you want to hit a run after practice tomorrow? I'm like, we're sparring. He's like, yeah, so what? You want to hit a run after? I'm like, if you're going to kick me in the leg, you know how my leg's going to feel after? So, but one thing I'm blessed with is being able to experience that. And now I feel like it's making my leg kicks better. You know what I mean? I'm starting to use that as an attack. Yeah, but personally for this training camp, honestly, I got to give a quick shout out to my boy, John De Jesus. He was a former Bellator fighter. That's my guy. I love that guy. He's a dog. He's one of those guys that you could just tell he's just a fighter in like in the inside of his core. You know what I mean? He's one of those guys that just I love him. He's one of the every time I go to the gym, I know if I got John as a partner, it's going to be war. And sometimes you need that, you know, because a lot of these guys play patty cake and they're not going all out. But John, you know, honestly, God bless that guy. He's fighting March 3rd for Cage Warriors out in Cali. I'm going to be there too because my little brother's fighting on that card, so I can't wait to see him get a win. But he was my main training partner for this camp, just like I'm his main training partner for his fight coming up because he's got a similar style to the guy I'm fighting, and I got a similar style to the guy he's fighting. So we've been putting in work together, and I just it's like iron sharpens iron, and that guy knows how to bring the heat. You know what I mean? So it's melting that shit nice and smooth.
Awesome. All right, let's talk about it. LFA 153 fighting Matheus Silva. What are your thoughts on the matchup?
He's tough. He's a striker. He's dangerous. But John De Jesus is explosive. He's a giant. He's got the craziest reach in the world. His knees are hard. His fucking elbows are hard. His jab is super fast. You know what I mean? I feel like I got Matheus Silva. If he turned into a Super Saiyan, he would have became John De Jesus. You know what I mean? So I'm training with the Super Saiyan version of the guy that I'm fighting next week or next month, and I feel like I'm gonna be bad. I'm gonna be trouble for this guy. You know what I mean? How I'm feeling for this camp, I feel like it's gonna be a big mountain for him to climb. You know, he's gotta come conquer me because I feel like he's fighting me. I'm not really fighting him. You know, yeah, he knows what it is here, and I'm just gonna get in his face and we'll see if that karate combat has it. And then at the end of the day, we're fighting MMA. So I hope this guy can stuff takedowns.
It's a very fun fight on paper. It's another tough opponent. Like that's all you fucking fight are tough guys. Is that by design?
I mean, at this point, it's like if I go fight a dude that's like 1-6, people are gonna be like, "What the fuck is going on?" You know what I mean? Like, I should have did that shit earlier on, bro. You know what I should have done? I should have done what these guys are doing nowadays, like 5-0, all bums, all first round finishes, and then the UFC could be like, five first round finishes. This guy's a prospect. It's like he's fighting some fucking dude that has 1-40 on his Tapology record, and it is what it is. At the end of the day, I know where I want to be. You know, I want to be in the UFC. I want to be one of the best. I want to hang with the guys like Jonathan, Chris, and Yusuf, and just like they want to hang with guys in the top 15, top 10. And I feel like I could be one of those guys up there. And that's all I'm focused on. Like, let these guys do their thing, pad their record. I'm not doing that. I'm gonna focus on beating tough dudes, building my confidence, building my skill set, and just just growing from that. And it's like, well, what are you gonna get from beating a few bums and getting to the UFC and then losing and then and then getting bumped out, and then now you're not sure what you're doing. So let those guys do that. I'm fine with how my story of my career is going, because I feel like by the time I get my chance, I'm gonna be able to prove a lot. And we see it nowadays more than ever. Like, these guys get into UFC and it's like they get shot into the top 10, top 15 title picture right away. It's like I feel like I could have one of those where as long as I keep building this experience, this is gonna be another tough dude, a dude that fucking karate combat. I smoke him, I make him a highlight reel. I feel like I could be ready for the top 20, top 15. You don't have to bring me in and put me against a debut guy and figure out if I'm good. And I still got to find, like, it drives me crazy when I see some of these guys. I'm sorry, I'm fucking ranting because people drive me crazy. But some of these guys, like, go in there and they'll fight in the UFC and they'll be like, yeah, I need to go work on this, and this, and this. It's like, what the fuck? You got a full list of shit? Like, you should, listen, you should have been doing that getting to the UFC. You should have been doing that coming up. Like, I'm over here paying $79.99 for a pay-per-view on a Saturday to watch you tell me that you should have worked on this and that. Come on, bro. I get it. We're all fighters. We all grow. We all learn, of course. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, you're there to showcase a skill set to the UFC. You're not there to get better, And a lot of these dudes are doing that. Well, like I said, they'll pad their record. They'll get in there, and then they're still focused on how to land their distance, or they're like, you know what I mean? You can see they're in their head, they're trying to use certain techniques, but they just don't know enough. They don't have enough experience of fighting in it. And I feel like I'm past that point where I have 17 fights. This is about to be my 14, my 18th professional fight. I had 10 amateur. I feel like I'm at the point where, like I showed in my last fight, I could control range. I could hit the dude with whatever I want. I could touch the elbows up, and it's like, even from the Diego Silva fight coming off that L, I feel like the momentum of just standing there and banging with that Brazilian for 15 minutes just elevated my game. Even though I took an L from it, elevated my game, elevated my mental, that some of these dudes that are already in the UFC don't even have that, They're over here still trying to figure it out, fighting UFC caliber athletes. And it's like, God bless, bro. Like, let's see if you could even make it past the first contract.
I mean, you make perfect points, man. These guys that pad their records, they get in the UFC, they go 0-3, they're out, and they're probably not going to get back to the UFC.
Tell
So it's. I mean, I'm still surprised that you're still getting fights on the regional scene, because who the fuck wants to fight you on the regional scene, bro? Like that's a tough. It's a tough out.
My brother. That's what I feel like it is. Honestly, I feel like even my last 4 or 5 have been UFC caliber athletes. Like the guys I've been fighting, they could have been in the UFC. Like at the end of the day, you know what I mean? It's like it is what it is. I guess it's just because of the banner. People think it's the biggest thing in the world. Like they don't understand that the caliber of experience and athletes like are different. You know, like me fighting Diego Silva, even though Diego Silva was in the UFC, the dude was a champ at 2 promotions. The kid was he beat Dan Arguleta. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. He won that fight. I watched that fight 10 or 15 times. I remember I was like, it blew my mind that the judges were that crazy. But he beat Dan. He's a tough kid. He could have been in the UFC too. But we ended up having a fight for fucking $4,000 each. And fucking, and I love LFA and I love everybody at LFA and the opportunity and the platform. But it's like, man, maybe some of this fucking pay down here is a little disgraceful, because I'm getting to the point where I'm like, come on, bro, 18 fights. Fucking bullshit. I'm about to go get my boy Vince. We're about to go run somebody over, honestly. Fuck. Fucking shit.
At the end of the day, February 17th, how do you get your hand raised?
Man, it would be nice to just go touch him and start him and you know what I mean, and highlight reel and have people on Tapology start putting like TKO win for me because I'm sick and tired when I look at those motherfucking things and they go decision submission. It's like fuck you. Who do you think you are? Come train with me. I'll let you feel these hands. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I always think about I'm like those guys are just fucking losers. But it is what it is. But I see myself coming at this dude hard, like I always do in every single fight, just because that's how I like to fight. I like to get in your face and pressure you with my strikes and have you react and try to counter that. And I feel like it's gonna be one of those things. And I just want to say I want to test out this guy's karate style. I fought a karate guy before in Kevin Worth, and he had a decent record and a crazy ass highlight reel Shawn Michaels kick on you know what I mean on Access TV back in the day, which was pretty cool to watch when we were coming up fighting each other. And I feel like it's a very similar style to that guy. And I know this guy fights trains out of Glover Teixeira's camp now, so I hope he's ready for that jiu-jitsu or for that ground and pound and that wrestling. Yeah, but I see myself finishing him in the first round. If not, I'm just gonna tee off on him until he doesn't want to be there no more, or get on top of him and just smash.
I love it. I love it. Finally, what do you want your 2023 to look like? And like, what are some goals that you're setting for yourself?
Man, so Coach Mark every year has us. This is my second year there, obviously, but last year he had us write a word for the year, right? My word stays the same, honestly, every year. But this year I decided to change it. My word has always been grateful, and it's one of those words where it's like I love that feeling of being grateful because I feel like it gives you happiness, but not too much where you're like fucking overfilled and then there's a down, you know what I mean? And it's not just the too low. It's like it's just I'm just grateful for the life I have and being able to do what I do on a daily basis, being able to train, being able to, you know what I mean, fight and compete and, get to enjoy myself after with my family and my friends and make everybody feel good that watch me and that support me. But for my word this year is limit, you know what I mean? And I didn't put push the limit or unlimited or anything like that. I just put limit because I want to push myself to the absolute brim of like death or exhaustion in myself. If that's mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, whatever it is, I just want to push myself this year and just finally get my fucking shot at the UFC and get in there and have some highlight reels and just put myself on the map and show these guys that I'm coming. I'm going to be one of the second, hopefully freaking Palestinians in the UFC behind Bilal Muhammad and prove that we got fighters from down there and we're all coming and we're coming strong. I know a few guys are coming behind me too. We got Al Sawadi fighting for Fury and he's a really good fighter coming up. He's a dog. So I feel like me and him this year, we deserve our UFC shot. So, to prove that we're on the map. A lot of these countries got 2 or 3 athletes in the UFC that represent them. And I feel like me, Sawadi, and Bilal this year will be able to push, especially if Bilal gets a title shot like he deserves, especially after that win streak he got, and we'll see what happens. But I'm excited for this year because my word for it has been limit, and I'm going to grind until I push the absolute limit of everything.
I'm glad you mentioned Al Swati. That dude's a fucking monster.
Dog, bro, that guy. Dog.
He's a bad boy. He's a bad boy.
That guy will be on the aerodime like it's a fucking cakewalk. I'm like, bro, come on, take it easy. I'm like, all jacked and just crazy. I'm like, oh, I need to go get some training down with that guy. He's savage.
So say you go out there, starts this guy. Obviously, you could go straight into the UFC on a short notice call, or get signed out regular. But do you have a feeling where like they're gonna make you go through the contender series just because like you have the story of like you were in the UFC, then you got cut because of medicals and like there's a story to tell. Like, do you feel like they're gonna make you go through the contender series?
I'll tell you the truth. I wouldn't be mad at that. I wouldn't be mad at that. I'm the kind of guy. I love fighting. I love fighting. Don't get me wrong, right? If you told me go outside right now and fight some dude, like I'll be down. But obviously, the problem with what we're doing, what this sport is, it's like you have to weigh in before you fight. You know what I mean? That's the fucking bullshit part. You know, you got to weigh in before you fight. If you go, hey yo, you're fighting tomorrow against fucking, you know what I mean, Umar Nurmagomedov in the UFC, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go do it. You know what I mean? Let's sign all the stuff. But it's like we have to weigh in, we have to make weight, we have to. So I feel like with the contender series, I like that because it gives me a camp, it gives me a plan, it gives me a date, it gives me structure, and I love structure, just like every other human being. You know what I mean? If you're living your life without structure, you're probably going crazy or you're depressed. So I feel like the structure of just it's the truth, you know, especially as humans, we need structure and routine. So it's like if I have that structure, that'd be amazing. But I feel like this year, especially where I'm at mentally and physically in my career, I feel like as soon as I finish the Diego Silva fight, the most important thing is not ballooning up after. I'm gonna keep my weight low. I'm gonna keep my weight as close to like being able to make weight on a week's notice as possible. And I'm just gonna do that until the end of this year. I've been in the sport since I was 13, 14, and there's been years where I grind for like 4 or 5 months, 6 months, and take a month off and then grind again. And I was, you know, you're coming up and you always give yourself the excuse. Every fighter does. They let themselves balloon up, eat, enjoy after their fight. But this is going to be one of those where I stay buckled in. And if they need me late notice before, I'm ready. But if they want to put me on a contender series, I would love that. I actually been asking for that for a minute where I'm like, yo, look, can I get a date? But they're like, my manager told me right now they're trying to they're trying to figure out when they're going to air the contender series because they're doing the Ultimate Fighter too. And then they'll let me know. But my main focus right now is beat this dude, make him a highlight reel, message Jason after and be like, please let me know if there's any late notice opportunities. I'll keep my weight low. And then honestly, Jason, I'll send him my weight every week just to make sure he understands that I'm ready to go. Cause I want him to know that I want this year to be the year where I get my chance. And if I go there on a late opportunity, the most important thing for me personally, bro, is I feel like a lot of guys take late opportunity fights and it's like, okay, some of them make the weight. I know there's a few scenarios where guys take late notice fights and they still miss. But the number one thing that happens to every single guy that takes a late notice fight is 99% of the time they take an L. You know what I mean? And I don't want to do that. I don't want to. I don't. That's something I always think about. I don't want to do that, especially ever since the 2 years ago when I was supposed to do that bullshit with Cody Stammen happened, where it's like I knew what it was. They brought me in. Cody was number 9. They needed to get him. You know what I mean? Where he needed to get, and I was gonna be in there, and it was gonna be, yo, go in there, put on your max effort, and you know you'll be in the UFC. And it's like, okay, that wasn't how it was supposed to be done. Everything happened how it happened. And now that I know that and I matured from it and I grew from it, I know that when I make my debut this year, hopefully, inshallah, I'll be able to showcase my best performance because I'm going to be physically ready, mentally ready, emotionally ready, spiritually ready. And honestly, a quick shout out to my boy Yusuf because it's so hard being out of shape and training here with him. You know what I mean? And, you know, just going through it, you have to be in shape 365, 24/7 with that guy. You know what I mean? Unless you want to get fucked up every day. So just honestly, that's what I do. Just focus on training with Yusuf. When Yusuf goes on a run with him. When Yusuf goes on a bike ride with him. When Yusuf wants to do jiu-jitsu, you know, do it with him. That's one of the he got the highest output in terms of volume and pace. And I feel like if I'm able to keep up with a guy like that, we'll both be in the UFC by this year.
I love it, man. That is a mic drop if I've ever fucking heard one. And Askar, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, man. If you want to plug your social media, plug any sponsors you might have, and if you want to thank anybody, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, it's my social media is AKMMA94 on Instagram and TikTok, you know. And then obviously, please tune into my fight February 17th. And I just want to give a special shout out to everybody that's at Factory X, my family, my brothers, my brother Asif. He's that guy's my ride or die. That guy's, you know what I mean? He's been with me through thick and thin. And my teammates that helped me sharpen my sword. Obviously, John De Jesus, I already gave him a shout out, but that's my boy. I'm so happy I was able to do this camp with him because I feel like hammers sharpen hammers. And he's one of those guys where it's just, he's a fucking hammer. You know, that guy tries to put it on my face every day, bro. I swear to God, I'm about to. Man, I might have to buy him a Christmas present next year or something just to thank him. But yeah, just the guys at Factor X. And honestly, thank you to you, bro. I love talking to you. And anytime they tell me I'm doing an interview with you, I get so excited because there's a few guys I hate that talk about MMA, and you're one of the dudes that I feel like, you know, you bring a positive energy to it, and I love it.
I appreciate it, bro. Thank you for the kind words, and it's my pleasure.
Hell yeah, my brother. Thank you, bro.